Good day, Junior Tickies. I am Mrs. Brimacombe and we are going to look at Creditors Reconciliation Activity 7. Before we start with this activity, we're just going to go through some basics. We get two different types of creditors recon. One is where the creditors control account must be equal to the creditors list. The second type of recon, and this is new for grade 11s, is where we get an external source, which is the statement received from our supplier, and we need to compare it to the creditor's ledger. So what is important to understand? The statement that we received from the supplier is from their perspective, we are a debtor. So when we compare the statement received, we need to compare the debit side with the credit side of the creditor's ledger. If we look at the statement received, we will compare all the transactions on the credit side with the debit side in the creditor's ledger. And again, why? Because from their perspective, we are a debtor. So it's basically the opposite. Now, there's different reasons for why our month-end balances is not the same. Make sure that you study this. This is a checklist. So all the activities that we're going to do is going to be examples of what is mentioned here. The statement date differs from closing date in the creditor's ledger. Transactions could have been omitted or entered incorrectly in the creditor's ledger account or on the statement. Discount deducted on the creditor's ledger account but not accepted by the creditor. Posting and or recording errors in either the creditor's ledger or on the statement. Addition or subtraction errors in either the creditor's ledger or on the statement. Now, before we proceed with the activity, basics to remember. If it appears on the statement and it does not appear in our creditor's ledger, it means we need to update our books, our creditor's ledger. If it appears in the creditor's ledger, but it does not appear on the statement, we need to take it to the creditor's reconciliation statement. If we made a mistake in the creditor's ledger, it means we need to correct it in the creditor's ledger. But if they made a mistake on the statement that we've received, we need to take it to the creditor's reconciliation statement. So looking at the question, what makes creditors recon difficult is understanding who is who. So make sure before you start the activity that you know exactly who is our creditor. From who did we receive the statement? Otherwise, you're going to make mistakes in correcting the errors that were found. So we need to calculate the balance of West End wholesalers in the creditor's ledger of Tembisa traders. We need to prepare the reconciliation statement, and then you also see that we've included internal control. Always make sure that you know your internal control, because it will always be incorporated in tests and exams into the different topics. You are the accountant of Tembisa Traders, a statement received from West End Wholesalers dated 26 February 2021. And it reflects that Tembisa Traders owes them $16,091, according to Tembisa Traders. The amount due to West End Wholesalers is $10,991. So on the answer booklet, you would notice that they didn't provide the balances to you. So you need to write down the balances. So what is the balance according to us and what is the balance according to them? So if I look at us, we are buying from West End Wholesalers, and according to us, we owe $10,991. Reminder, why does it appear? Well, in a creditor's ledger, the balance will go straight to the balance. We're not going to write it on the debit or on the credit side. If you look at the creditors reconciliation statement, balance as per statement, according to them, we owe 16,091. Why does it appear on the debit side? Because from their perspective, we are a debtor. Looking at transaction number A, Tembisa Traders entered a discount of 300 when a payment of 3,000 was made during February 2021. West End Wholesalers, however, did not allow this discount, stating the EFT payment was received by them very late. So this means that we need to make a correction in our books in the creditors ledger. We've shown that discount was received, so we owe them 300 less. But they're saying, that discount, the payment was received very late, so they are not going to give us that discount. So now we need to correct it, so it means we'll need to credit the creditors control account. So in our creditors ledger, discount cancelled 300 and my new updated balance 11,291. In this format, in a creditors ledger, you have to calculate your balance after each transaction. An invoice received from West End Wholesalers for 6,280 was correctly recorded in the books of Tembisa Traders. It was, however, incorrectly reflected as 6,820 on the statement received from West End Wholesalers. So, incorrectly on the statement received from West End Wholesalers means that they will need to correct this. So this means we need to take it to the creditors reconciliation statement. It was recorded as 6,820. It's supposed to be 6,280. So the difference, we've overstated it. So the difference will appear on the credit side with 540 that we owe them less. So they've overstated the debit side. If they overstate the debit side, it will have a negative effect on the balance. So in my creditors reconciliation, credit error on invoice, on the credit side, 540. Goods returned to West End Wholesalers for 890 was recorded as 960 on the statement. Tembisa Traders miscalculated the cost of the goods return. So this means we made a mistake. So we need to correct it in the creditors ledger. We've said that we've returned goods to the value of 890. On the statement received, it was recorded as 960. So it's supposed to be 960. The difference is 70. This means that we have understated the debit side. And if we understated the debit side, it will have a negative effect. So please make sure you don't mix this up. Yes, we need to add 70, but we need to add 70 to the debit side, and that will have a negative effect on the balance. So amount understated, debit 70, so my new balance is 11,221. An invoice of 2,000 received from West End Wholesalers was incorrectly recorded as a debit note in the creditors ledger of Tembisa Traders. So again, we made a mistake in our creditors ledger. So number one, you need to understand an invoice will appear in our books on the credit side. But now we've incorrectly recorded it as a debit note, which means that we've debited the account incorrectly. So we've debited our account with 2,000. It's supposed to be credited. So to take that out, To cancel that, we need to credit the creditors control account, but now we've only taken it out, so that's now equal to 0. Now we still need to show the invoice that we've bought on credit. So in this type of transaction, we always have to correct it times 2. So in the creditors ledger, account incorrectly debited 4,000 on the credit side, and now my new balance is 15,221. Transaction number E, a payment for 5,000 on 27 February 2021 to West End Wholesalers appeared only in the creditors ledger. So if it appears in our books in the creditors ledger and it does not appear on the statement, it means we need to take it to the creditors reconciliation statement. So remember, creditors ledger, liability, debit minus credit plus. From their perspective, debit plus, because it's an asset, credit minus. So a payment means that they will need to credit our account. Payment not recorded, 5,000. The last transaction, goods were purchased for 4,670 on 28 February 2021 after the statement was received from West End Wholesalers. It means it appears in our books. It does not appear in the creditors reconciliation statement. And goods were purchased. It means that we owe them more money. So they will need to debit our account with invoice not recorded, 4,670. Now that we've taken all the transactions where it's supposed to go, the balance as per creditors ledger is 15,221. The balance is as it would appear in our books, and that's why it reflects on the credit side. If I now take the debit side and I add it together, it will equal everything that I've added up on the credit side. The creditors reconciliation statement, the debit side must be equal to the credit side. Please take note, if you choose to do the one column method, you are more than welcome to. So please take note of the difference. With the one column method, everything that appears on the debit side in the in the creditors reconciliation statement, no brackets. Everything that appears on the credit side must be in brackets. And then also have a look at the difference. In the one column method, the balance as per creditors ledger, that should be the total at the end. And then you need to compare that with the amount in the creditors ledger. If that balance is the same, it means that you have done it 100% correctly. Looking at creditors and internal control. An internal auditor of Tembisa Traders has discovered that goods to the value of 55,000 ordered from Yerno suppliers were not delivered to the premises of the business. The person who is responsible for placing orders, receiving and storage of goods is Mr. Mbele. So the first question says, what action should be taken by Tembisa Traders to recover the 55,000? Provide 2 points. So you can only write 2 points, but make sure when you look at a memo that there's more than one possibilities. This must be your studying material. So what can we do? He should be brought in for investigation. The employees responsible should be subjected to disciplinary hearing. A case should be opened at the South African Police Services against the suspects. Suspend the employee or employees depending on the outcome of the case. You can even dismiss the employee for violating the conduct rules. deduct from the salary, or demand that the payment through legal action. So these are all possibilities. And what can we do to try to recover that 55,000? Now, if you look at the next question, provide at least 2 internal control measures that should be applied to prevent this type of thing happening again. Divisions of duties or senior personnel to authorize the purchases. When goods are received, the receiving officer should check the stock delivered against the invoice and order form. Regular checks of physical stock against the records or stock cards. Conduct internal audits or check documents to detect if there's any errors or fraud. Monthly reconciliation of creditors. Inform the suppliers of the procedure to be followed when goods are delivered. So these are all possibilities. So again, when you get these type of questions in test and in exams, start making a list from the memo, a summary of when there's these type of scenarios, this is the possibilities, and make sure that you study that. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on creditors reconciliation. Next, we're going to look at activity 8, again focusing on creditors reconciliation. I want to leave you with this quote: never do tomorrow what you can do today. Procrastination is the thief of time. Hope you have a wonderful day.